Hi, it's Jane. I have not played with my knitting machine in probably 2 years, so this might be look at that hair, might be a very interesting experiment. And decided I needed to get out and play with it and get on with making the hats. So I'm gonna start. And basically it's just that weaving in and out. Not sure why we're locked. I think I had it on panel. So I'm double checking to make sure. Okay, I did. Additionally, put it on the panel. No wonder it would work. All right, here we go. Of course, that first row is in and out. It's always fun, isn't it? And I know the conventional way was you were constantly doing the in and out. Not constantly doing the in and out. You were doing in and out in between the oh my goodness, Jane. What is with you? You can't think today. I think it's because I'm hot. Believe it or not, I'm hot. But do the first row in and out. Before you would use waste yarn. Seen a lot of people no longer use the waste yarn. Okay. And then it's just a matter of the knitting. So far, it looks like we're doing okay. But we'll see, right? The follow-up with the baby Haro, Emmanuel, they did not release the parents, thankfully. I was really concerned that they might. The newest thing, supposedly, is by using what they call Perkins technique. They place someone in the cell with Jake, And supposedly he confessed to killing the baby and throwing him in the garbage in his home. Now, if that's true, he's probably most likely in a, waste management place in the dump. So, but then again, he might have realized what was going on and is just telling lies. But the thing that I find interesting is that they have Rebecca on some very different charges than what they have Jake on. Jake is on malicious murder, something like that. But Rebecca is on first-degree murder charges, which kind of means it was intentional, was premeditated, usually. I don't know how they get that out of there, but apparently they do. So, who knows, right? It's crazy. And I'm filming this Wednesday afternoon. Of course, this morning there was that shooting at the Catholic school. And I gotta tell you, and this is not indicative of all people who are trans. However, there are a lot of mental issues that go along with trans. Medications can be somewhat psychotic, create psychotic events. There are a lot of issues with it. So I think that we probably need to kind of look into those medications a little deeper before we just hand them off. Like I said, this fella, Robin, fellow, girl, I don't know what she identified as, to be honest. But she obviously, she obviously had some mental issues that really should have been addressed and were not. And too many times we just give these medications without doing any real psychological eval, any psychiatry with it. And I think that should be an automatic. It should be that we are doing some clear psychiatric psychology along with the treatment, especially with those medications that are used, because they're tough medications. They're hard on the body. Some of the things that happen are hard on the body, but apparently this person had a manifesto and it put it on, I don't know if it was YouTube or his Facebook page or what it was, but I always find it funny how people are, they do this thing of they're not going to name their names. I sort of understand that, but at the same time, I don't think that helps at all, to be honest. Need to be able to look into these people, see what was going on with them, talk with friends, family, to see what kind of issues were ongoing all the way around with them, because there may have been some real clear signs that this person was dangerous. Now, I do take issue with them making the statement that he had an automatic, semi-automatic rifle. I doubt that, and here's why. There are special licensing requirements needed for that, and he probably did not meet the criteria, especially with the drugs that he was on, or she. No. Now, you want to say that it was an AR-15 rifle? Yes. He had many rounds of ammunition and a pistol full of rounds? Yes. But then again, we also know that the shooting at Virginia Tech was handheld. Wasn't a rifle, it was handheld. And this fellow was able to get off a lot of rounds. There are a couple of handguns that are what they call automatic, where you just press the trigger and hold it down till you empty your magazine. But I think a lot of gun shops are really doing some real deep dives into people who are purchasing those guns. That is hard on the arm. I forgot how hard that was. Got to build up that arm muscle. Goodness gracious. So anyway, I think we really need to look into, when we are giving people these kind of drugs, how it affects them mentally. But I also think that we need to do a little bit of a deeper dive into someone who identifies as trans and what is really going on in their life. Too many times we don't ask questions, were you sexually abused? What is the reasoning behind this? We just automatically say, oh, okay. But do we do that if our child comes in and says, I'm a dog today? Do we automatically say, okay, you're a puppy dog? And just run with it? Get them a leash and a dog bed, dog toys, and feed them dog food? No. We let them go on for a little while, and many times they come right out of it. It's a hard issue when it comes to trans. But I think we need to ask some hard questions. And not just automatically assume that it is the right option. Automatically for those folks. The folks that are wanting to go into that. And yes, I do have a drill that I could use the drill. And I might do that future. But right now, I'm not. Gonna hand crank this because it's been so long since I have actually done this. I wanted to remember how painful it is. But yeah, I did decide I needed to get some things, start getting some of this yarn taken care of and out of the house. Cats are finding it a little interesting. They're kind of hanging out off to the side because they got to see what I'm doing. Crack me up. I have a deer outside my window over here, and that deer is munching on the bird seed I put out for the birds. In fact, ate the whole tray. Gotta tell you, these deer sometimes crack me up. Who knew that they were birds? And this is a birdseed mix that has lots of seeds, different seeds and different berries and a couple of things that are in it. So it's just odd to look out over there and see the deer. And the cats are just sleeping. But they had to come check out the setup. I set it up, and they're like, what is she doing? And then when I moved my sewing chair over, I'm sitting in my sewing chair. They were really intrigued, like, what's going on? I am looking to make a fairly large size hat. And I am using Hobby Lobby's, it's a print, I don't know what the name of it is, down there on the floor. But had a couple of skeins of this and figured I would make a hat with it. I may switch this off midway with a navy, but I'm gonna have to get to that point. And if I get to the point, I'll have to pause you so I can go get the navy. And hopefully it'll go through here. You know, sometimes they don't go through so easily. Two more rows and I think I'll switch. Okay, I'm gonna pause you for a moment while I go get the other yarn. Couldn't find a navy, so picked up a different color. Picked out was this. We'll see if it goes. Okay. This yarn is a yarn by Nicole, one of the one of those. What is the color? Medium blue. I think it'll go well with it. If not, whoever gets this hat will have a nice contrasting hat, right? Anyway, I made a trip into town, and we had our local senior center had a senior fair for some of the different things. The different companies offer those kind of things, and I was low on pens, so pens and those little gripper pads, and sometimes they have those there, so that was what I was after. So I went in and saw a few friends I hadn't seen in a while. Got to talk to quite a few of them. It was a nice afternoon. Grabbed some pens. And then as I was leaving, one of the ladies that goes to my church was in with the Love Center, which is the food pantry. That's one of the closer ones to me. There's a couple of others that are there, but I just use the one food pantry. Although I could visit the other two if I need it, but I don't. Because trust me, it's plenty of food. But she was in there, so I was just going to stop in and say hi. And she was talking with someone, so I was standing there waiting. And she said to me, "You get to go shopping free today. Doesn't count towards your monthly allotment. So go in here, shop, do whatever, pick up what you want. There's no limit. You get to go in and get what you want." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So, and they were giving away bags for it, so I went in and grabbed a couple of. Thing that I like is the chicken, canned chicken. So I picked up a couple of those, and they had some of the shelf stable yogurts. So I picked up a couple of those, and the one lady, I only took 2, and she goes, "Oh no, take more." So apparently they were wanting not to have to, load it back up and leave. And this is what they call their mobile unit that goes out. So it was rather interesting to see. Did they have everything that normally that you get at the other one? No. But it was nice, and they had quite a bit of, they had avocados. For some reason, the people here do not take avocados. I don't know whether it's they don't know how to use them, they don't know that they can freeze them, maybe they just don't like them. So I picked up 2 avocados, and some bell peppers, and some broccoli, and I was good on tomatoes, so I didn't need any tomatoes. And basically it was the canned chicken. I took 2 of those. She told me to take as many as I wanted. I said, "No, I'll just take 2. She said, "You can take more." I said, "No, this is plenty. This is good. I'm good." Because I do use the canned chicken many times. Whoops. Well, that was good. Many times I use the canned chicken for stir fries. Drain it really well, and then you can use it in your stir fries. And also I make a mean chicken salad. My chicken salad normally consists of dill pickle relish or dill pickles chopped up in it. I don't like the sweet. I do generally do some onions. And if I have nuts, sometimes I throw the nuts in there. I have some dried cranberries. Every once in a while I'll throw that in there. But this time I was trying a little different recipe. It was a suggestion someone had made, so I thought I would give it a try. And basically it is equal parts mayonnaise, equal parts ranch dressing. And it was pretty good. It was tasty. I fixed that for lunch. So that was an interesting choice. I just put my dill pickle relish in it. The only thing that she did different with it was she did salt and pepper it. I don't usually do that with my chicken salad. To me, that's just kind of weird. I think the mayonnaise and the, ranch dressing will give it enough of a how shall we say it? Enough of a saltiness that I don't need anymore. I'm not a big, real big heavy on salted, a lot of salt on things. So Like I said, that was a rather interesting option that she did there. And I didn't put onion in it this time. I just did the pickles. The only other thing she did is a little different, was pour some of the pickle juice into it. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like I said, I think that would make it too salty. But yeah. It's come along pretty well this way. I was worried. Because you know, sometimes when you haven't done something in a long time, makes a bit of a mess. I'm going to curl this up on itself. And I also learned a long time ago you don't need the weights. There are some things that I do use weights for, like if I'm making a long scarf. And generally that's so that it will help hold the scarf down into the, because normally I put some kind of, you know, basket, crate, something down below when I'm making a scarf. But that's the only difference. So this has been, you know, a reminder of how much work it is for hand cranking. And yes, I do have the attachment, you know, to add it to add the screwdriver or whatever it is, drill to it. But there's something that's just, it's good. You use your muscles, so I'm enjoying doing this with the hand cranking. I had seen where there was a gentleman, I cannot remember his name, Jolly Ginger or something like that, that was supposedly broadcasting from DC so that they would get rid of ICE and the soldiers on the streets, those kind of things, and he had a GoFundMe page. Then it was brought out that he wasn't even in DC. He's raised hundreds of thousands on this site by folks who want crime in the city, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, is that they want the crime in the city. I don't know. Maybe so. But, so since someone had brought this to light that he wasn't even in DC, and that he thought people were being scammed, the fellow did stop taking donations on the GoFundMe or Give, Send, Go, Send, Give. You know, one of those sites where you raise money. So I did find that rather interesting. And I think, and supposedly he says he's a veteran, but now again, I question whether he is a veteran. You know, and a lot of that is just because of the action that he did take, you know, by having this, and it looks like he was scamming, and that, you know, I think people need to stop and realize in this day and age, it is too easy to get information on you. Way too easy. And it's too easy to find out where you're at and to check up on you. Especially if you say that you're in Washington, D.C., and you have another content creator that lives in the D.C. area or works in it. And then he goes looking for you and he can't find you. I'm coming up on the end here, that's why I've slowed down a little bit. So, yeah, it looks like what he's done is kind of unethical, which that in itself is sad as well. So, I just wish the people would stop and think when they do these things, you know, if it's actually correct. I've seen a lot of people raising the stink because there was a gentleman that burned a flag right in front of, I think it was the White House, and he was arrested, and people are raising the stink about that, you know, because it's supposedly your option to be able to do that. It's freedom of speech. However, it's freedom of speech when you do it on your own property. It's not freedom of speech when you do it not in a federal place. That is against the law. There are fire codes, and that, friends, is against the law to do. So you need to be careful if you're going to do something like that in protest, that you're doing it in the proper way. And, you know, it's kind of like this. If you can't burn the pride flag, which you can't, it's illegal, you could get arrested if you do it, then you shouldn't be able to burn the U.S. flag. But the Supreme Court at one point thought it was perfectly okay. Probably should be revisited. And I don't know that I think it's okay. I'm sorry. If you cannot burn other flags, like the gay flag, the pride flag, the, you know, Israeli flag, the Palestinian flag, Ukraine flag, if you can't burn those in the U.S. either, shouldn't be able to burn the U.S. flag. But that, like I said, that's my personal opinion. But the problem with him being arrested is that he actually started a fire on federal property, which is against the law, which you can be arrested for, and he saw the outcome of that, this veteran that chose to do that. Should he have known that he couldn't do that on federal property? Yes, he should have, but, you know, he thought he was proving a point there and, you know, taking a stand against the executive order. Well, the executive order doesn't change the outcome of the Supreme Court decision that allows you that. The only thing that it did was allow folks to be arrested for other charges that go along with burning that flag. You know, like if you're trying to incite other people into doing something crazy or whatever. You know, it's kind of like folks on the left always point to the thing with the insurrection. J6. How awful it was. How awful it is that President Trump pardoned quite a few of those folks that were involved in it. But you didn't mind when they pardoned the two ladies that bombed the Senate, what was it, back in the 60s or 70s? Can't remember exactly. You didn't mind when those two ladies were pardoned, did you? But, yeah, tit for tat, that kind of thing. But, there's always a lot of reasons why people think it's okay to do things like that. And, carry on. If you're going to do that, more power to you, I guess. Probably should turn it inside out. But, yeah, I think it's important if people are going to use the executive orders, to raise a stink or to talk about them and to use that as reason to protest, then you should know what the executive order actually says. I don't know what it is about the folks in our country that choose not to read, but find it kind of sad that we've chosen not to read those executive orders and see exactly what they say. Oftentimes they don't say what people are saying that they do say. I have been really going down a rabbit hole on TikTok with the, some of it I guess you would call recycle, reuse clothing that a lot of folks are doing. Those are things that interest me. I've not done those, but I would like to. So that is something I am looking forward to trying. Just to see how it comes, Like I said, I've done the thing with the children's shirts, dresses, using men's shirts, changing those up for Operation Christmas Child, which I don't think I've showed you, so I probably need to, next one that I do, I probably need to show you what that looks like. But it's just a way to use some of those things and turn it into something else that can be used. And I do enjoy doing that. So, do need to weave in these ends here where I changed the color. I do go ahead and yes, I do knot it. Just because. And then weave in each one. That's part of the thing with knitting. You gotta weave in your ends just like you do with crochet. Somebody has to do it, and I don't have a weaving fairy to help me, so that means I get to do it. I'm not sure how that works, how you get these fairies or these Girl Scouts to come help and do things in the middle of the night. And generally I do go ahead and leave a little bit of a tail. That way, if for some reason someone takes the hat apart, they can have a little bit to work with if they choose to take the hat apart, use it for another project, which I'm sure there are some folks that do that. More power to them. Hope they enjoy the hat while they had it. So is there something special that you are working on today? I have been enjoying reading the comments. I did learn something about the Japanese knotweed bamboo that kind of gave me pause and made me think it's a never-ending battle, and it's going to be a never-ending battle. I was reading one of the professionals in a group that I'm on made the point of someone had talked about what they had done to fight their bamboo problem, and they were now looking forward to it, no longer having it around to pester them and drive them nuts and that kind of thing. And the gentleman made a point of pointing out that unfortunately, I need to take that through the center. Unfortunately, bamboo can lay dormant for up to 20 years. So even if you've found a solution and you think you've killed it, it can lay dormant underneath there within that root system for 20 years or more. I'm like, oh man, that is a bummer. Not too thrilled about that issue, but not a whole lot you can do about it. So, and what the gentleman had done is he had sprayed and sprayed, cut it back, sprayed, and then put the black tarp over it, which is what they tell you to do, the black gardener heavy tarp. And then to top that with mulch or chip rocks so that it's not able to continue to grow. And then you keep it that way, and generally that helps block it and kills it. Except we found that it doesn't really kill it. So I don't know. That was kind of disheartening to read because I was looking forward to within a couple of years, you know, they say 2 to 3 years of constantly treating, fighting, cutting, and all that kind of stuff, that it eventually would be gone. Only to find out that may not be so. Oh well. It is what it is. You know? What are you gonna do? You just have to fight it the best you can. Hopefully it'll all go away and but at least I tried, right, folks? We sometimes find in the center is not easy. Bring them up together, tie them. But yeah, that's the latest I have on the bamboo. You know, finding that out, and I wasn't too thrilled to find that out. But it is what it is, and there isn't a whole lot that I can do about it. I can complain all I want, but that is just the way things roll. All right. This one is almost finished. Now it's just getting both of those threaded on this needle. I don't know where my needle, it came with a bent needle. I have no clue where that's at. Well, I moved you over a little bit. I guess I could use the jibby needles that I have, but I'm not gonna. Oh, I got that caught up in there. Anyway, there's one hat. Ready to go. And now it's time to move on to another one. Do a different color today. I think I'll do this one, which is Fireworks Show by I Love This Yarn. It's a pretty color. Get that ready to go. And I think I'm going to do the whole hat in this color. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. Just playing with the machine, trying to get a couple of hats done. And looking at different projects that I would like to do. Do need to cut the vinyl for the pouches, that kind of thing. That will come in time. And that's in between, you know, doing all the fun stuff out in the yard. I say fun, it's not fun. But when you don't have a cabin boy or a honey to do the honeydews, you gotta do it yourself. You know? Need to get quite a bit of yarn pulled out here. But, yeah. It's been an interesting day in between finding out the thing with the Japanese knotweed, and I was not happy about that, but not a whole lot I can do about that other than just keep fighting. But anyway, at the senior fair today, I always find it interesting how many lawyers sit up there. You know, I guess they're all wanting to make sure you got your will and, you know, they can get their dollar out of you and that kind of thing. quite a few hospices, some that I did not realize were in my area. The hospice that most people go to in this area is one that's run by UPMC at Divine Providence, and it is called the Gatehouse. But I found out there were a couple of other places to go as well. So I did find that interesting. Like I said, met up with a bunch of people. Met up with someone I hadn't seen in over a year. She is my staunch Democrat. She voted Democrat. Even if there was a jelly bean that was being voted for, she would vote for him because she is Democrat. But anyway, when I saw her, we were teasing each other. I said, I'm just about out of pens, so I needed to get some new pens. And of course, that's the main reason you go for some of those things. I'm going to move the camera a little bit. Get you guys back this way. Hope it didn't make you seasick. But we had a good talk. Chit-chatted. Saw someone that goes to my church, sort of. How can I explain this? She is an RN. She works at a facility that just opened up in our area. But in the evenings, on certain evenings, she takes care of a little lady named Kitty. And Miss Kitty is a character. Miss Kitty, I think, is 93 or 94. And many times Miss Kitty would like to go out and do something. So she'll load her up in the car and take her out, that kind of thing. And I had teased her. I said, you need to bring her to dinner Thursday evenings with us, so we can meet Miss Kitty. Because the stories she's told us have us giggling about Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty, one day, she asked her what she wanted to do. And Miss Kitty said, I want to go have a beer. I haven't had a beer in a long time and I want a beer. So she loaded her up and took her over to a restaurant where she could get her in and, with a lot of ease, that kind of thing. And she got her a beer. So Miss Kitty drank, I think, she said she drank about a fourth of it, and she said, yep, that's all I needed was a beer. So, some of the little old ladies just crack me up, some of the things that they think that they need. For whatever reason, she wanted it, so she's 93, 94. Does it matter that it's not on her food plan? Or that it goes against her medications or whatever? She's 93. Let her have the beer. It's kind of like as a nurse, I don't know how many times I had patients that were at end of life, and family members did not want them to have narcotics because they didn't want them to get addicted. They're dying. Let them be pain-free. Now, the only thing that I did do is I did tell them, gave them, the facts about the medication, that some of these medications will depress the respirations and they'll probably go a little bit faster, but they're pain-free. Let them have the meds. It's just crazy. Did you hear the story about the girl that was 11 that was pregnant? The parents claimed they didn't know that she was pregnant. She delivered at home. She hadn't been in school for over a year. Supposedly the parents said they had no clue she was pregnant. Really? You had no clue? I don't know if I believe that. But anyway, they did some DNA testing, and it was a healthy baby, big baby, which at 11 years old could have killed this girl. And yes, I've delivered many a baby for 9 years and up. But they did DNA testing, and her stepfather is the father. I guess there'll be some new charges there, won't there? But I think it's sad, the things that we're seeing. And, you know, all the kind of stuff that's going on, like the thing with Roblox and making a big stink. And, you know, it's like, really, Roblox, you're going to stand on the side of the perverts? The pedophiles? What's with that? All right, I think that I have chatted on long enough. I'm going to continue to crank, get this hat finished, and maybe move on to another one. I don't know. You never know. But everybody, have a great day, great evening. Stay out of trouble, and I'll see you again on another day. Bye.